Hello and welcome to another Hopheads review. I'm your host Dom, and I have a really special offering for you guys tonight that we're going to be breaking down. The brewery itself is just jumping right into it. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're having a great day. But let's jump right in. The brewery is Abomination, and their logo is quite well known. If you see this on a beer, chances are you're gonna have a pretty good beer. The name of this beer is Terp Fog. It is a double dry hopped double IPA, and it is coming in at 8.6% ABV, so it's not for the light of heart. This is specifically the Pineapple Gold Edition, and the reason that it's called the Terp Fog is it has cannabis terpenes added on in there, but we don't have to go any further than that. Okay, let's just remember that there was a brewery down in Florida that added terps. They were told to stop. They did not, and other breweries around the country started picking up the practice, and here we are today with a delicious example of what happens when you combine another herb, hops of an herb, all these different ingredients that go into the beers. They're natural ingredients, so it's just adding another natural ingredient and the flavor compounds that go with that. So hence the Pineapple Gold. And yes, before you're wondering, is the beer gold? Yes, it is. It's right here. I'm not going to show you yet because we're going to break it down in a second. But this brewery, they are out of North Haven, Connecticut. And let's just say that every single one of their beers that I've ever had, it's not just yeast, malt, water, and hops. I've never had one of their beers with only 4 ingredients. Every time I've had one, they've been some kind of extravagant example of what beer can kind of reach for. They say it right on their website, and they don't give a bleep. They're going above and beyond to try to push the envelope to what beers can be, and I really appreciate and I respect that, because there's no set rule on this as long as it's still a delicious, tasty, fresh beer. We should be able to add adjuncts to the beer at any point, and many people do, even with stouts. A good example of that is when they add molasses or chocolate syrup into a stout to give it the real dark and the residual sugars that you have in there, and to help bump up the ABV. So there's already a lot of other things being added in beer. Why not push the envelope even further? You'll see a lot of their stout variants from Abomination. They go in. There's chocolate and brownies added, and marshmallows, and just an incredible array of ingredients that leads to an awesome experience. They're not just doing it willy-nilly. They're definitely taking their time and their care to make sure the product is good. So yeah, keep pushing the envelope, guys. Great job as always, and cheers. I've had this beer before, that's why I'm ranting and raving about it. I know I told you that anytime you'd see a video on this channel, it would be because I've never tasted the beer. But I think it's worthwhile. I think it's worth going back and touching on some beers, especially one with from Abomination, because you can find them. You can find them. Even when I was down in Florida, I was finding them. When I was in Ohio, I was finding them. I've even been, I think in Michigan, we were in a store, like a craft beer store, and we saw Abomination. So you can find them if you keep your eye out, and if you look for that infamous signal, you'll be in for a treat. Let's get into the beer. Terp Fog, Pineapple Gold Edition. Look at that color. My goodness gracious. It's gold. It really, truly is gold. I hope that the camera can pick it up. It's very foggy. It's very densely fogged. It's definitely it says just a double IPA, but it's that New England hazy, foggy type of IPA, and we kind of already know what to expect from that. The one thing that's lacking on this already is the head retention. As if you see the pour on the YouTube channel, you would see that it really didn't even pour with a head. It is fresh, but I think it's too oily. I think what happened is they put so much hops in it And maybe the terps also gave a little bit of residual oils, and that oiliness kind of knocked the head down. Does that mean it's going to be a bad beer, or it is a bad beer? Absolutely not. Some stouts will pour without a head. Many different beers will pour without a head. But the carbonation is going to be felt then in the mouthfeel. So if the mouthfeel's not there, then it's definitely not a good beer. But just by appearance, it looks awesome. Other than, like I said, that head retention. And as you can see, if I tip it, the foam does rise up on the glass. So it's not like it's not carbonated well. We can see that off the bat. Yeah, appearance, definitely in that pale ale color spectrum. Let's go in for aroma. Ooh, wow, it is so layered. It is so dynamic with flavors. It goes all over the board. It goes from orange and pineapple to grapefruit and mango, really bright, really amazing fruity characteristics. A slight funk, but in a good way. I don't mean that in a bad way. It has a slight funkiness to it. And when we come upon these double dry hopped, double IPAs, and there are a lot of hops and a lot of hop variants in this beer, then you can almost guarantee a little funky smell might come out of one or two of those hops, and it's leading to some salivation on this end. Yeah, and for the malt character, I'm getting maybe a little bit of caramel or a little bit of crystal malt, but not much. It's obviously by the color, they stuck to the 2-row or the pale malt for the base of this, and it always leads to a very good base flavor for an IPA. You've heard me talk about that in the past, that you'd like a little bit of residual sweetness to kind of knock out the hoppiness, unless they can both cancel each other out completely when you get to the attenuation stages in the yeast, in the fermentation process, from the yeast, and then you end up with a really dry, crisp finish at the end of the beer. So those are the options. Let's see which one they went in for. I'm gonna go in for mouthfeel. Just like we knew from seeing the head, not the biggest mouthfeel. It does have that mouth coating oiliness kind of to it, not in a bad way, but definitely isn't really expressing. It's not expanding on the palate like you'd hope for as much. So if I was gonna go into, let's start with the rating process. The appearance, I mean, it's way up there. It is 8.5, 8.6 for sure. The aroma, same thing, just strong, hit you in the nose, 8.5, 8.6. The mouthfeel is where it might fall down a little bit. I would actually even put this in the 7s. So I would say about a 7.7 for the mouthfeel. Just leaves a little bit to be desired. Let's go in for flavor. Let's go for taste. Yeah. Very similar to the aroma. You start off with pineapple, you start off with juicy, fruity characteristics, and then something happens. Right at the back end of this beer, you get a beautiful, a brilliant bubblegum burst that just, it kind of finishes the beer. It really powers through the other hop sensation, and it's quite nice. It is nice. I would like it to not cancel out the hops so much, or whatever that hop that's giving off the bubblegum. Maybe that could be pulled back a little bit. But again, I'm not a master brewer at Abomination. I'm just some guy reviewing some beers. So what do I know? But it does do a great job with that malt characteristic that we were talking about earlier to carry a little bit of the residual sweetness. So it does help to balance it out, that bubblegum note hits so hard. Let's go in for aftertaste. You guys know I only take the extra sip. I already have the taste in my mouth for aftertaste. It's just me giving myself an excuse to take another sip. It's bubblegum. It closes with bubblegum. It's not as dry as you'd like. It does have that residual sweetness that carries, for me, just a little bit too long with that bubblegum note. Not bad, but I'm just being honest with you guys. That's always what you're going to expect from me, is honesty. And though I adore this beer, I love this beer, that is one thing that I would definitely change or ask to change about it, is that the end note would be a little bit more crisp, a little cleaner, and that the bubblegum would be toned down just a touch. Are these end-of-the-world type things? No, not at all. I've described how amazing the beer is in so many different ways, but those two really stand out. So we've gone through our whole rating process. Where does it stack up against the other beers? I told you guys in the past, and I think I had a double on the Instagram. I think one of those was a double. This is a highly competitive field. IPA is what everybody is making. This is the beer that you could go to any local brewery, any local craft beer liquor store, and find a good IPA. Double IPAs as well. So with that being said, it's very tough to push the high 8s. It's even tougher to get into the 9s, but I really, really do like this beer. So where does it stack up against other double IPAs? I'm going to put it right at 8.4. Now, that being said, the overall rating of this, probably an 8.1, I'd say, an 8.1, only because of the ABV. It's powerful. You're not going to sit there and try to chug a couple at a party or something, or a 4-pack in one night. It would be tough to get through. But that's the only reason. The flavor's there, the complexity's there. And this leads me to my final point on this review, is that this almost leads me to want to rate it as an experimental beer. This is a category that I don't put many beers into, but they have to really be outside of that category of their normal, whatever they've labeled themselves as. So some beer makers will immediately put that right on the beer, experimental style. Okay, they know it's not matching the guidelines for the beer that they're titling it. Excuse me. This is one of those. A double IPA, a double hazy even. It doesn't have so much sweetness. It doesn't have so much back end residual flavors that are bubblegummy sweet. And just honestly, the flavor itself, it veers so quickly off of hops that go into that bubblegum realm that, I mean, it's delicious, don't get me wrong. And I hope it's not turning anyone off. If you don't like bubblegum, this still could be the beer for you. It's not a generic bubblegum flavor. It's just my way to identify that flavor, that flavor compound. And yeah, really good. A little bit on the experimental side, but everything from Abomination is kind of to be expected from that. Keep your eye out for this one, guys. This is one of their Fog in the Fog series. This is Terp Fog, the Golden Pineapple Edition. Really, really good. Wherever you are, I hope you're doing well, you and yours. No matter when you are, I hope you're having a great day. And I can't thank you enough for tuning into the channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment any types of beers, styles of beers that you'd like to see reviewed on the channel, or if you have one that you'd like to see me to review specifically, put it in the comments below. Share to your friends, let them know to subscribe. When we get to 50, I can go live and we will share a beer together. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be hoppy. Cheers.